All right, welcome everybody. We are excited to have Kevin with us again here for our partner webinar series. We're going to give it another minute or two as some of the stragglers come in. Quick housekeeping notes. We are using a new software this time. This is live Strom. And just to navigate where different tools are that we're going to be using during the webinar, bottom right hand of your screen is the chat box. You can click on that, type in something. If you've been on a webinar here with Kevin before, you know it's very interactive. So that's what we'll be going to interact with the webinar. Next to that is the questions tab. Click on that to ask a question. Kevin is open to answering those questions kind of throughout the webinar. There's also some time set apart at the end to address any of those, assuming we've got time. So just be aware of those two functions there. And let's see. Okay, perfect. I think we're probably good to go. We'll let a couple more people hop in. Perfect. Well, I'll introduce myself here and then introduce Kevin. So my name is Gabe Davis. I'm from Cinch. I'm one of our partner managers here. I've had the privilege to work closely with Kevin as we've done a couple of these webinars now and other business and business ventures and co-marketing opportunities. So it's always been great to work with Kevin, and I'm looking forward to his presentation today on smart scaling, when and where to grow your multi-location empire. Just by way of introducing our speaker, Kevin, here today. Kevin is a self-proclaimed dream catcher. M. Kevin Davis is a person of strong faith, a devoted husband, father, and grandfather, entrepreneur, author, podcast host, international speaker, trainer, and executive coach, whose philosophy is simple. Life is a journey of aligning your dreams, charting your course, and navigating your way to a purpose-filled life. For more than 3 decades, Kevin has been inspiring, motivating, and equipping others to live out their dreams. He has devoted himself to developing and strengthening the personal and professional growth of others through speaking engagements, one-on-one leadership building, and most importantly, by serving others. We're excited to have Kevin here today specifically to talk about this multi-location topic. He was able to build his own multi-location empire that grew to 25 quick lube stores that he was then able to get acquired by a brand. So he's a real expert on this topic of growing your business. And everyone, please welcome Kevin with me. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, Gabe, thanks so much. I'm so excited today. Welcome, everyone. We got a great webinar today, Scaling Smart, when and where to grow your multi-location empire. You know, as he said, I'm Kevin Davis, and I'm thrilled that you're here because what we're about to cover could completely shift the way you approach business growth. You know, I know that expanding your business, whether it's from 1 location to 2 or whether it's from 10 to 20, comes a lot of questions and a lot of challenges. So today, I'm going to try to help cut through the uncertainty and give you a clear framework for knowing when to grow, where to grow, and how to do it successfully. Now, I want to share a little bit about me before I do, but I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. So if you would, chat right in the chat, what's your current position? Are you a manager, senior manager, operations, executive, owner, partner? I'd love to see just in the chat to hear back, you know, who's out there. And I'm looking at a different screen. All right. Yeah, we got some here. Okay. GM, we got marketing operations. I see some other ones here. So I'm new to this platform as well. So we're learning this platform as we're going here. So I'm looking down at another monitor here to see your chats. So I'm not looking away from you. Senior training manager, lead garbage collector. I got that. Awesome. Hey, this is amazing. I tell you what, we've got an amazing group here today. Sometimes when I get a group like this, I feel I just need to turn my camera and mic over to some of you and just learn from you. But during today, we're going to learn from each other. We're going to do this chat a lot. I love to use the chat because as webinars and doing this way, I like to have the engagement. I'm more of an onstage, in-person type person to where I can see you and see your reactions and get some response from you. So I'm going to utilize that chat to do that today. So just as we get started, we'll do typically, so who is Kevin Davis? Gabe give you my introduction. There's a list of things here that I've done and accomplished through my 30 plus years in business and career and life altogether. But I often tell people, my joke is I always tell everybody that all this plus $1.06 will get you a large sweet tea at McDonald's Kentucky in Inez, Kentucky. The problem is now my daughter sent me a text probably a year or so ago. I was at a place doing an event. She said, Dad, she sent me a screenshot of the McDonald's menu board and it changed to $1.38. So inflation. So it's $1.38 now to get you a large sweet tea at the McDonald's in Inez, Kentucky today. But at the end of the day, I tell you often, and those that know me and those that have heard me before, I just want to be your friend. So I just want to ask you today, can we be friends? If it's okay, we're friends, just chat in there, friend. So I know that it's okay, we're going to be friends today, because that's usually what I like to do. I just like to talk to you as if I'm talking to my friends, that way we can just have a conversation today, that we can learn from each other. All right, I see some chat coming in there now. I see some showing up there. Awesome. That's awesome. All right. And I know sometimes I get some people that will come off with the marks that he looks like he needs a friend. Hey, but at the end of the day, we all need friends, and friends is what helps us, and that's what encourages us and strengthens us. So also another question I want to ask you, anybody out there like some free stuff? Chat in free if you'd like to get some free things every now and then. Since we're friends, I'm going to offer you a really great bonus at the end of this. And I put together a really valuable resource to help you apply what we learned today. It's called Scaling Smart Expansion Readiness Checklist and Scorecard. It's a simple 2-page document front and back, but this exclusive resource will help you evaluate if you're truly ready to expand. It'll help you identify gaps in your current business model, and it'll also get you a clear readiness score so you know exactly what to focus on before you make your next move. Here's the deal. I'll be giving this away at the end of the webinar as a thank you for sticking around. So stay with me, take notes, put your questions in the Q&A, engage in the chat, because you'll have the chance to grab this powerful tool at the end. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. But first, let me take you back to a moment that changed everything for me. Picture this. I just opened my 12th location in 3 years. From 1 to 12 in 3 years. You talk about growing fast. I grew fast. We were building and operating. We were opening back to back. We would open one on Friday, one on Saturday. We were building them 2 at a time, sometimes 3 at a time. On the surface, it looked like I was winning. Rapid growth, new locations, a growing team. But let me tell you, behind the scenes, it was chaos. Every day felt like I was doing nothing but putting out fires. I felt like I was a chief firefighter instead of a chief executive. Team members were getting frustrated. Quality was slipping. And I was stretched thin trying to just keep everything together. That's when it hit me. I had built locations, but I had not built a system. I had hired people, but I hadn't built leaders. That realization changed everything for me. That was a turning point. Had I not changed at that point in time, I would not be here telling you how to build a successful business. I would be one of the statistics of the businesses that did not make it. Has anyone here ever felt like you were growing but struggling to keep up? Type in me in the chat if you can relate to that. If you've ever had a moment where success felt heavier than expected, just let me know. All right, I see here, me. Yeah, all right, awesome. Yeah, I'm looking down here at this chat. Yes, me. Here's the good news. Growth doesn't have to feel that way. That's why you're here today. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to scale your business in a way that's smart, that's sustainable, that's strategic. And by the end of this webinar, you will have a clear understanding of when to grow, where to grow, and how to set yourself up for success. If you're ready, chat in ready, and let's see if this thing going. Let me see some readies out here. Awesome. All right. As we get ready, here's what we're going to be covering today. First, we'll take a look at the why. Because if you don't have a clear reason for expansion, everything else will feel like guesswork. Next, the when. because growing at the wrong time can be more dangerous than not growing at all. Then the where, how to choose the right locations that set you up for success. Finally, I'm going to share lessons from my own journey, things that I wished I had known earlier. I often tell people I want to be to other people what I wished I had when I started. And of course, we're going to wrap up with a Q&A. So start thinking of your questions now, drop them in the Q&A session, and we'll address as many of those as possible at the end of this within our 60-minute time today. So quick question for you. Where are you in your business right now? And I'm going to ask you to type a number in the chat. 1, I'm still in one location thinking about expansion. 2, I have multiple locations but want to grow more. 3, I've expanded, but I'm struggling to manage it all. And if you've got it all figured out and you need to be teaching this, put 4 in there. But 1, I'm just one location thinking about it. 2, I have multiple locations, but I want more. 3, I've expanded, but I'm struggling to figure it all out. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we got some different ones in here. Awesome. Yeah, so we got, great. No matter which number you type, you're in the right place. I guarantee you will get something from this valuable session. So your why is the foundation to any successful expansion. A strong why isn't just about achieving growth. It's about aligning your business with a mission. This clarity will guide your decisions. It will keep you focused during challenges and help you attract the right people and customers. Here's the truth. Growth for the sake of growth is a recipe for disaster. I see so many times that I'm working and talking and coaching and consulting with people that they're growing, but they don't have a strong why they're growing. They're just growing because they feel like you have to be growing. They're just growing for the sake of growth. And every single time I find out, that becomes a recipe for disaster. Expansion needs to be intentional. So let me ask you, why do you want to grow? Is it to serve more customers? Is it to increase market share? Is it to make more profit? Is it to create opportunities for your team? Drop one word in the chat for me that describes the reason for expansion. Is it impact? Is it profit? Is it legacy? Is it opportunity? What is the one word that would kind of describe a reason for that? Okay, I see profit in here. I see opportunity. Yeah, I love the opportunity. That was one of my biggest things is I want impact. I love that. Impact is one of mine as well. So profit, you have to have profit before you can have opportunities or you can make an impact. So profit has to be there. So sometimes we have to grow in order to increase our profit so we can do some of the things that we want to do in making a bigger impact, in creating a legacy, in creating opportunities for others. For me, my why was clear. And some of you know my story. I grew up in a small Appalachian town in eastern Kentucky, a small town called Inez, Kentucky, population 600. And the whole county is population of 12,000. I grew up in an area that everybody thought you had to leave here to be something. You had to leave here to accomplish or do anything. And my mom always told me, son, you can bloom where you are planted. And why everyone else was telling me, because I wasn't doing that great in school and because I didn't have some of the same ambitions as other people and because I wanted to stay here, people were always telling me that I was never going to make it, that it was never going to happen, that I wasn't going to amount to anything. And I did not believe that. But what I did, I went into these small towns around where I live. And I would look and see some of the things that we had. We didn't have a lot of the things that they had at the big cities. We didn't have a lot of the opportunities that other people had. So my why was I wanted to bring to our area things that only the big places had. And that's how I got in the quick lube industry. That's how I got in the quick lube business. Now, I've been in multiple businesses. I've had an insulation company, a perpetual care cemetery. I was part of a Chevrolet dealership, a small manufacturing. But my strong why for the quick lube industry was I wanted to bring services to rural areas that the big chains ignored. And I decided to operate in small towns in a big way. That was my why. That mission helped me to attract top talent. It helped me to negotiate better deals. It helped me to understand how to withstand competition. So your why should be strong enough to guide you through your decisions, even when things get tough, because I can assure you things will get tough. I tell people all the time that you're either in a storm, you're either coming out of a storm, or you're getting ready to go into the storm. That's the three phases of this journey we call life. That in this journey of life, we have troubles, we have challenges, things get tough. If your why is not strong enough, you can't overcome those challenges. As we move forward, I want you to hold your why in your mind. Let it be your filter for every decision that you make about expansion. Does that make sense? Just say yes if that makes sense to you. If you get this, if that makes sense. The why is when you got to understand your why. Yes, exactly. I love it. You all are amazing. I love this. I mean, I always love the chat because it's almost, I can't look out and see all your smiling faces, but as I look at this chat, it kind of pulls me in and gets me excited. Sometimes I feel like I just need to jump up and run around my desk 2 or 3 times to get rid of some of this energy because I'm sitting here in front of this camera. But the next thing is timing is everything. You expand too soon and you can burn through your cash. Ask me how I know that. I learned that lesson very well. You wait too long, opportunities can pass you by. Once again, another lesson that I never read about, I never heard about, I experienced myself. There are 3 key indicators that tell you when it's time to expand. 3 key indicators that will let you know when it's time for you to expand. The first one is financial health. Your current locations are profitable and your cash flow positive. Second, operational readiness. Your team and your systems are solid enough to support growth. Market demand. The new location has customers ready and waiting. Drop in a yes in the chat if at least 2 of these things are true for you right now. So financial health, operational readiness, and market demand. So those are some key indicators that let you know. Awesome. Yes. All right. I love this. This is amazing. So, but you know what? If you're not at a yes yet, now you notice I always say yet, because if you're on this webinar today, you're somebody who's looking to grow and expand. You're somebody that's got drive. You've got ambition. You've got it. So if you're not at yes yet, that means you're still right now getting ready to be there. That's okay, because I want to tell you something. Growth is not a race. Growth isn't a race. It's a strategy. And sometimes waiting until the right moment is the smartest move you can make. It's a strategy. Waiting until the right moment is the smartest move that you can make. Choosing the right location is just as important as choosing the right time. You need to look for underserved markets. So where is demand high, but the competition low? Underserved markets. We get a market saturation a lot of times because people think, they say, oh, wow, Kevin put that business in. He's doing really good. Maybe I can do good too. And somebody else says, oh, wow, there's 2 of those there now. Maybe they must be really hot, so I'm going to put another one in. Every time you do that, you're cutting the pie. Now, competition is good. Competition is not a bad thing. But if you're not careful, you get a market saturated. Then you get people competing on price, and they're lowballing price. You start lowballing price, you're going to start skimping on service, and you're not going to be having a successful operation, nor are you going to successfully be able to expand. So if you're looking for the right location, because it is just as important as the right time, you have to look for that underserved markets. That's one of the things that I went after when I was growing, is I went into markets that were underserved. I went into markets where there were people that needed these services, but these services were not available to them. The second thing that you want to look at is proximity to your existing locations. Growing strategically within a region really simplifies logistics and your operations. So when you look at growing, And that's what we did. If you look at our growth plan, we grew probably within 30 minutes to an hour from our first few locations. Then we expanded to 2.5 to 3 hours. Especially in rural markets, you have to go farther because they're spread further apart. But as we started growing in these areas, we begin to build regions. We begin to look to where could we put 3 to 5 stores in a region. And this really simplifies logistics and your operations, because what happens then, as you build teams, you've got people at stores that if you open a new location, they're close enough to send them to an existing one to train while you're getting ready to open. If something goes wrong and you get really busy, you can pull somebody from this location to come help with another one. It also helps with advertising and marketing, because I see several of you that are in the marketing scene from earlier when I asked you in the chat what you do. So you understand that the more marketing budget that you can put in one area to reach more people, that's going to help you. So when you're thinking about growing, choosing the right locations, your underserved markets where the demand is high and the competition is low, but also proximity to your existing locations. You don't want to cannibalize your customers. You want to be far enough away that you're not going to take away from your own, but you also want to be close enough that you can still reach each other and have a strategical plan there. And then the next thing is competitive positioning. Can your location placement discourage competitors? So when you look at that, if I'm in this town and I'm operating really good and somebody sees it and they come in and say, whoa, he's doing really good, we may put one over in this town. If they do that, it could possibly hurt me by pulling away from me. So competitive positioning lets yourself, so if you look at the market that we developed, that was our strategic plan, serving underserved markets, going into rural locations, and we went in every small town that was in a proximity, and we done our position and our placement that would discourage other people from coming in. Before long, we had this market pretty much saturated and covered. So that's just a real world example. You know, I placed locations in rural areas that were too small for big competitors, but they were perfect for us. This positioning gave us what we would call market dominance. As we go through this, I want you to think about where your next location should be. Now, drop a local in the chat if you plan to stay in your current market, or drop new in if you're thinking about expanding into a completely new area. Now, I've done both of those. We done local, and then we went into Tennessee, we went into Virginia, we went into also West Virginia. So we went into these totally new and then built our region there. So I'm seeing some here. Yeah, I love this. Amy said back on the marketing, brand exposure to everyone in the region, seeing your business everywhere. That's awesome. Okay, I see local. I see some new here. I see some regional here. Local first. This is great stuff. But choosing the right location is a very important thing. As I said earlier, this can be just as important as choosing the right time. So think about that. Underserved markets with high potential, proximity to existing locations to simplify your logistics, and strategic placement that discourages your competition. So let's talk a little bit about some lessons learned. System, scale, and culture. Growth requires a solid foundation. This was another one of my biggest lessons. I feel like I say all the time, this is my biggest lesson, but I've had so many big lessons. And most of the time, that school of hard knocks is a good teacher. But this was one of my biggest lessons. Growth is only sustainable when you have the right systems. Without systems and processes, expansion can quickly become overwhelming. However, with the right infrastructure, scaling actually becomes easier. You'll have the flexibility and the tools to manage your operations effectively. So another key to this is to protect your company culture. Growth can dilute what makes your business unique. So it's important to intentionally preserve your values as you expand. If you don't intentionally protect it, growth will dilute it. Both of these are things that I learned through my growth phase, that I learned that we expanded quicker than we had systems and operations and policies and procedures in place. We got to 12 locations in 3 years. But what did we have? We had chaos because we had every location operating as a silo. Each one was doing it their own way. We found out that all of a sudden we started having dissatisfied customers. We started having, damage claims. We started having, mismanagements of inventory. We started having, problems with labor issues, way too much labor. Our labor percentage was run high. We did not have the right systems in place. We were growing so fast and we thought growth was the way to do it. But then I had to realize after growing to 12 locations in 3 years, I stopped because I had to stop because I was losing money, and we focused on the foundation. We focused on that. But something that I didn't see, we got the systems down pretty good. We got the infrastructure built pretty good. We had that well. We started expanding again. But the oversight that I seen was our culture started to become diluting. The culture that I'd started with, the culture that we had built this company on, as we grew to 15 to 18 plus locations, I started seeing our culture not the culture that I wanted. And I've done a webinar for Cinch. It might be available out there about culture and the power of having a positive culture. And maybe we can get that link out to you. I think that's available on a video as well on culture. But I learned that lesson that I had to learn to protect my company culture because growth started diluting it. If you're not intentional about it, what makes you unique, what makes your business unique, that makes you be able to grow, all of a sudden, if you're not intentionally to preserve your values as you expand, it's going to be diluted. So if I were to ask you the question, what's one thing about your business culture that you want to keep as you grow? Drop a word in the chat. What's one thing about your business culture that you want to keep as you grow? Let's see what we got. I see some people typing here. Family, I like that. Culture, values, I like that. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, I think that some of us, attention to detail, we're going to see here humor, we see all these different things. But I think some of the things that we're going to hear, if we go down through care and concern for the customer, most of the time we're going to hear core values. I mean, core values get thrown away pretty loosely in today. We're going to operate with integrity, customers first. We're going to, all these things. We're going to take pride in the work that we do. We're going to under promise, over deliver, whatever it is. But whatever it is that got you to where you're at, you don't want to lose sight of that. You don't want to become complacent and forget about the main thing that got you there. So as you grow, you want to make sure that you protect your company culture. The only way you can protect that company culture is to make sure it is first and foremost in everything you do. So as you grow, as your systems are in place, and as you scale this thing, you have to make sure that you focus on your values. You have to focus on your main mission. You have to focus on your vision. At first, I thought managing 12 locations would be harder than managing one. And actually it was for a short period of time. But as we grew, I discovered the 10 times is easier than 2 times principle. Many of you probably seen the book out there, maybe even read the book. But that is a true principle. With systems in place, we gained flexibility. Team members could step in when needed. We had a broader base of experts to rely on. The key was building the infrastructure to support the kind of growth that you want. You want to build your systems and procedures and policies, your infrastructure. You don't want to build it to what you have today. You want to build that to what you want to have 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. So you want to look far ahead. You don't want to have to rebuild this every time you grow. So when you say, I want to scale and I want to grow, you start building systems in place. You start putting the infrastructure in place that will support where you want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. When you start putting those things in place, all of a sudden, when you start getting those locations, you're going to find out that it's easier to run 20 locations than it was to run 5. You're going to find out that it's easier because you've built and prepared for that. Does that make sense? You all getting some stuff out of this? Let me know yes if you're getting some stuff out of this. information today. Let's see this chat going. I see some things. I get some thumbs up emojis. Hey, I like those emojis. Yes, those emojis, you got those. I don't know how to use them in there yet, but if you know how to use those emojis, we can get some emojis going on here. Awesome. Love seeing that. Okay, now let's look at some practical tips for sustainable growth. The best way to grow is to scale strategically. Here's just some practical, man, that's fancy there. We got somebody dancing. That's awesome. Here are some practical tips for sustainable growth. Start small. Expand one step at a time, refining your approach with each new location. Every time we added a new location, we refined the approach. Every single time we learned something new, we added to it, we updated our past locations, and we used that moving forward. Learn from every expansion. Every new location is an opportunity to improve your systems and your processes. Thirdly, keep your customers and your team at the center of every decision. At the end of the day, you have to have customers to expand. If you don't have customers coming to your location, you will never expand. If you have customers coming to your locations, you have to have the right team members. If you don't have the right team members, you're eventually not going to have the customers. So keep your customers and your team members at the center of every decision you make. Happy customers drive business, and strong team supports sustainable growth. That was another big lesson that I learned, was that growth isn't just about the numbers. So many times we get hung up on the numbers. It's not really about the numbers. It's about the people. Because if you build your people, I think Zig Ziglar said this: we don't build great businesses. We build great people that build great businesses. So when we learn that growth is not just about the numbers, it's about the people. By focusing on creating opportunities for my team, by delivering value to our customers, we were able to grow in a way that felt aligned with our mission. One of the things that I took pride in, out of all the locations we had, at one time, pretty much 100% of the store managers had started out as part-time lube techs. Almost 100% of everyone in my senior leadership team started out at an entry level. But because we were able to grow, we were able to create opportunities for them. Because as a manager moved up to a higher, somebody lower than them moved up to a manager. As we built another location in a neighboring town that wasn't too far away, all of a sudden somebody from that store could move to manage this store, and they would develop that. So all of a sudden, that helped us to grow in a way that felt aligned with our mission of serving underserved areas by bringing opportunities, by having growth. So here's your challenge. I want you to think of one action step that you're going to take after this webinar to prepare for smart scaling. If you want to chat something in there, just one action step that you'll take after this webinar to start preparing for smart scaling. If you want to chat something in there, I'd love to see what you're getting so far. Out of everything we've got so far, what's one action item that's going to help you prepare for smart scaling? I see some typing there. Refine as you go. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of my mentors and one of my coaches tells me all the time, Kevin, done is better than perfect. Don't wait till you get it perfect to start. Let's get started and let's refine it and make it perfect as we go. And I think Joe Saba said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So that's very important to think about that. I like that. Refine as you go. So let's talk about some common pitfalls and how we're going to avoid those. So while expansion does bring opportunities, it's essential to navigate the potential pitfalls. We talked about some of these as we went through it, but one of them, expanding too quickly. Without proper systems, rapid growth will lead to inconsistencies and operational challenges. I learned this firsthand, and I emphasize the importance of a solid operational foundation. Get your operating procedures nailed down. Get those refined. Get those ready to where they can duplicate. Another thing that we see is insufficient market research. A lot of times we start growing, and because we want to grow just for the sake of growth, we'll take the next location just because it's a number. I done that. I grew this business to 25 locations. 2008 and 9 financial crisis, a lot of things hit hard. We ended up having to close down about 5 locations during that time. And when I look back at the reason that I did that, I didn't do sufficient market research. I was growing just for the sake of growth. I just thought bigger's always got to be better. One of my great friends who grew a great business, he would always tell me, Kevin, bigger is not always better. Bigger is not always better. So not growth just for the sake of growth. And several of the locations that we ended up closing was I just didn't really do sufficient market research. So entering a new market without thorough research can result in those unmet expectations. So always take time to validate the demand and understand all the local nuances, because you can go to some areas, and if you don't learn that area, you might find yourself on the side of town that all of a sudden nobody goes to. There's a reason you got a great deal on that property. That's the reason that location was vacant and you got to go in and take it over. If there's a vacant location and you think, oh, that'd be a great place for me, spend some time finding out why it is vacant. Spend some time in that area watching traffic flow. They can change a traffic light. They can change directional of the traffic. They can change intersections. They can change a strong hub to another part of town. That happened to us early on. Walmart was the big player that was coming in these small towns. We built in front of Walmart's most all of our locations, which was a great marketing plan. Everybody came there. It was a great plan until it wasn't a great plan. All of a sudden, Walmart decides we're going to build super Walmarts. Super Walmarts had to go on bigger pieces of property, which ended up going on the other side of most of those towns where there was vacant land. All of a sudden, everything else follows them there, then you're on the wrong side of town. All of a sudden, now you don't have the same traffic flow. So make sure that you're doing sufficient market research. The other thing that happens to you is you can overextend your resources. Ensure your leadership team, ensure your finances are prepared for growth. Make sure you've got the proper capital to grow, or at least the option to get the financing, because you cannot outrun financing. You cannot get past that. I like Ken said, know your demographics of the area. Exactly. That's awesome. I love that. Learn that the hard way. Exactly. So if you're not careful, you overextend your resources. And if you outgrow your cash flow, you outgrow your capital, and then you're operating on a shoestring budget, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And the last thing I've talked about it, and I'm going to make sure I emphasize this again, because everything to the success of your business is going to fall back to this: culture. Your culture is going to determine how successful you are and how scalable your business is. If you neglect company culture, as you grow, maintaining your core values and culture is crucial. It has to be at the top of your list. Implement practices that preserve and promote your company's ethos across all locations. By being mindful of these challenges, by proactively addressing them, you can pave the way for successful and sustainable expansion. So before we move into the Q&A, let's briefly recap some key takeaways from this discussion we've had today. So the why. It's crucial to have a clear purpose for expansion. And that clear purpose must align with your long-term vision. Understand how growth will impact your team, how it will impact your customers, how it will impact your operations. So the why. Then the when. Timing is everything. We've always heard the saying, you got to be at the right place at the right time. Timing is everything. Ensure your current locations are consistently profitable and that you have scalable systems in place before you consider expansion. Building robust systems and processes is the backbone of successful scaling. Standardize your operations, utilize technology to enhance efficiency and maintain consistency across all locations. When I think about utilizing technology and I think about how far that technology came, even with building ours, we had a system in place that our customer base was shared amongst all of our locations. We were building in these regional areas. So if someone was traveling to another town and stopped in that location, all their information was already in our system. If they were driving 2 or 3 hours to the larger town and stopped at one of our locations, we had all their history, we had all that stuff. The thing that I liked about it too is I told my team, irregardless of which location that our customer goes to, if they're going to one here in our hometown, if they're going to one in Tennessee, Virginia, if they're going to one in West Virginia, if they're going one more to Central Kentucky, I want the experience to be the very same. I don't want them to show up at a location and it be different. I don't want them to question how they're supposed to do things. So you have to get those consistently operating in a consistent manner so you can keep that going. Then the where. Selecting the right location is vital. So make sure, as we said earlier, I think Ken said in there about demographics, know the demographics of the area, know the traffic flow, know the which side of the road is on the way home, which is on the side of the way to work. And if your business is going to cater to people that are going to work, you want to make sure you're on the right side of the road. If it's people going home, you want to make sure you're on that side of the road. If it's on people that are going to be closer to where they live, or if it's going to be closer to where they work, those are things that you need to learn and you need to know. Conduct a thorough market research to identify areas that align with your strategic growth and offer that growth potential. So by focusing on these 3 pillars, the why, the when, and the where, you can approach expansion with a strategic mindset, setting the stage for sustainable growth. So we've talked about a lot of things already. We focused a lot on these 3 things. So if I were to ask you in the chat, what would be your number one takeaway to this point? What's your number one takeaway of what we've talked about today? The one that you said, aha. It was your aha moment. That thing that I said and you said, oh man, Kevin, that's where I'm at. I understand exactly what you're saying because I've been there. I'm there now. Let me hear, does anybody have an aha moment so far from what we've went over? Give you just a second there if you want to put a chat in there, your aha moment. I see somebody's typing. So the thing that just kind of resonated with you, it either made you the 3 phases. I like that. Exactly. I like the 3 phases. So I see some others typing there. So you really need to realize that these aha moments are the ones that are going to stick with us. They're the things that's going to help us in this growth phase. And we all have them. And it's just making sure when you have that, take action on it. Do something with it. I like this right here, paying better attention to the community traffic and knowing our customer routines, not considering market research as much as my desire to grow. And like I said, everything I've shared with you today has come from my experience. I tell people often, yeah, have I read these things in a book? Have I done that? Most everything that I've shared with you today are things that I've learned the hard way, but I know them because I know. I know because I've experienced it, and I figured out how to overcome those challenges to get to where we were at. Systems and processes makes you and positions you for growth. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll tell you what, you all have been totally amazing today. I love the chat. I love getting this going back and forth. As much as I love to be in person, when we get a great group doing one of these webinars and I get the chat going, it just makes it so fun. So we're going to dive into some Q&A here. And I'm not looked at the Q&A yet, but if you got any questions, type in there. You can be typing them in there. But I want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for your engagement. It just makes our time fly by when you all get involved and share stuff with us. I do appreciate all the participation throughout the webinar. I hope these strategies and insight have maybe sparked a flame inside of you. Maybe they've given you a clear roadmap for your expansion journey. Now, we're going to open the floor up for some additional questions that you might have. Go ahead and feel free, as I said, to type those in the Q&A, and I want to address them accordingly as we have time. But as you're getting your questions together, let me share this with you. So, first of all, let me ask you this. Are we still friends? I mean, we've been with you almost 45 minutes now, and you've listened to me talk pretty much nonstop here. Let me know, chat in there, friends, if we're still friends. I want to make sure that we still have some friends out there. All right, better friends than before. Awesome, awesome. Friends. I love it. Awesome. And we all need friends, and I love to have friends. But at the beginning, I told you I was going to give you a bonus for staying on to the end. And since we're friends, as a token of my appreciation for your participation, I want to invite you to complete a brief survey about today's webinar. You scan this QR code, it pops up. You're going to have some emojis. It's going to ask you 4 or 5 questions. You just hit a smiley face, a sad face, frowning face on how you felt about 4 different top parts of this. What this does is, since we're friends, friends help friends get better. This helps me learn how to better prepare for the next webinar, for my next presentation, the next content that I develop. So if you take the time to do that, it'll take you less than a minute to do that. And when you do that, immediately when you complete it, you are going to get this Scaling Smart checklist and scorecard. And this is just a little 1 or 2, it's 2-page document, front and back, that I threw together for this content that basically is a little checklist of the things I talked about that you can go down there and ask yourself your questions. Hey, do I have this? Have I done this yet? Have I done that? And then you'll be able to look back and say, whoa, here's some things I need to prioritize and work on. And then also on the second session, I have a little assessment. I think there's 10 questions on it, and you're going to use the Likert scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree, from a 1 to 5 on strongly disagree to a strongly agree of 5, with neutral being 3 and 2 and 4 being in between. You're going to take each one of those questions and say which one you fit at. You're going to total that score, and it's going to give you a snapshot based on how you score that. Are you ready to grow yet? And then it's going to let you know what areas you need to focus on. I think you'll find that resource very valuable. I think it's going to really help you as you review this content that you've went through. I think Cinch is going to make this webinar available to you, as a recording as well, so you'll be able to catch up with that. All right, let me scroll back through here. I'm going to go over here to the questions. I thought I saw one. Let me go.
Yeah,
back.
Kevin, we had 2 come in. They originally were put in the chat, but we threw them back into questions.
Okay. All right. So I can just go over to questions.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Okay. All right. So how long should you be profitable before you know you're ready to expand? Now, pretty much, if you're not consistently generating a profit at your location now, you expand, what's going to happen is, if you're not generating a profit at your current location, when you operate a new location, it's going to take you, I would say it would take you maybe 6 months to get to a break-even point. I tell you, in the last few years of my growth, sometimes it was taking me 12 to 24 months to get to that break-even point. So I had to have enough profit in the other businesses to be able to sustain the time to get that store up, operational, and growing. So you're going to have to decide, what does it cost you to do that expansion? And then kind of look at that profit from that store, and then look if you've been profitable long enough to sustain your new operation for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever length of time that you think that it's going to take you to get this one to a profit one. So if you're operating business and making 2 to 3% profit, you probably need to focus on your profit before you focus on your growth. There's some stats out there that some people say that you have to make a minimum of 10% to be sustainable, to be able to weather the storms and do that. So, once again, make sure you've been profitable long enough to sustain your upcoming business, or at least put enough profit back in capital that you can operate that upcoming new location expansion for the period of time to get it up and going. The next questions: what are the characteristics that you look for in store managers, especially as you're looking to replicate success from one location to another? And I want to tell you that I always tell people this, that you hire attitude and you train skill. You hire attitude. You want to find people that have a positive attitude. You want to find people when I look at some of our best managers, some of our best leaders, they had zero experience in the industry. They knew nothing about the industry when we hired them, and they became some of our best people. They became the leaders of our business. They became the ones that were actually running the show. And hire attitude, train the skills. So some of the things that you're going to look for in that is you're going to look for work ethic. You're going to look for character. You're going to look for integrity. You're going to look for problem-solving skills. There's several different ones. The core values that we run our business on was the acronym PRIDE: professionalism, respect, integrity, dependability, and excellence. And we pretty much look for that in everybody that we hired. We looked for people who was going to they were our ambassador, okay? If we brought them on our team and we put our logo on their clothes or on their hat, they represented us. We wanted to make sure that they were a good representative. So we wanted to make sure that it was going to represent us professionally. We wanted to make sure that we hired people that had respect, that they respected people. They respected people's possessions. They just had respect. We got to make sure we got integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is looking, and it's doing the right thing regardless of the consequences. And then dependability. You got to make sure that you got people that's going to show up when you need them to show up. You got to make sure that you have people that are going to be there when you need them and that you can count on them. And then to me, excellence is just going above and beyond. It's doing what is needed and then some. They say that there's never a traffic jam on the extra mile. So we want to hire people who are going the extra mile. So how do you do that? A lot of times I hear people, so how do we know if we have them? This is where part of your developing your systems and your procedures and your operating procedures is you want to develop very good interview questions. And you want to make sure that you find out who are your best performers. Who are your best performers in your business? Who are your top performers? And you identify what are the qualities that they have that makes them a top performer. And you want to develop interview questions that will help you identify in potential team members, are they going to have those same qualities and characteristics? And you're going to ask them questions that are open-ended. You're not going to ask them yes and no questions. Did you like your last job? Yes. Did you like your last supervisor? Yes. Did you solve problems at your last job? Yes. You're going to go more, what did you like the most about your last job? And then you're going to pause. What did you like least about your last job? And you're going to pause. And that moment of silence, the longer you're silent, is going to cause an awkwardness that's going to cause them most of the time to respond pretty quickly with the answer you want to hear. You're going to ask them, what did they like the most about their last supervisor? Tell me what you liked the least about your last supervisor. You're going to ask them, tell me about a situation that you was faced with dealing with XYZ and how you resolved it. And you're going to ask them those type of questions, and you're going to see, does that show you that they have the characters, the qualities, the values that your successful people are doing? So hopefully that gives you some good stuff on that. What do you know about Google Friends, the use for market research? I don't know anything about Google Friends. That's something totally new to me. But Dan, you just intrigued me, and I told you that I'm going to learn from you all today, and this is one that I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to have to search that out. There's so many tools and resources out there right now. Used to, you would have to pay companies for market demographics. You would have to pay people to come in and do studies. You can do so much of that yourself now. You can go in and mystery shop your own competitors. You can go in and find out market share. You can do traffic counts yourself. You can go to Google Earth and pull up all the locations. You can map everything out. You can see how much radius this is. So there's so much with technology now that can help you to do that. You just got to you got to identify what are the important things to you in that location. Let's see. I think here is there another question. Okay. Did your employees know that you use the PRIDE acronym? Is that part of your culture? Hey, thank you for asking that. And absolutely, they did. Pride became the North Star for our compass. It became the guiding light. And it got to a point that we used that acronym with everything that we did. So, and one of the things that I made early on, one of the mistakes that I made early on was solving problems for people. So people would call me and say, Kevin, here's the problem. And I'm a problem solver and I love to do it. So immediately I would just give them a solution. But here's what happens when you do that. You put your team in a situation that they're not going to become problem solvers because you're doing it for them. You're actually disabling them from becoming problem solvers because they rely on you so much. And I seen that I done that. And after my growth, when I talked about some of the things later on, this probably happened 10 years after I was in business, maybe a little bit farther in business, maybe 12 to 15. I learned that I had to, when they came to me with a problem, I had to ask them, how do you think we should handle that? And let them give me a solution. And I would train them to say, you can bring me any problem you have, but I would like for you to at least bring me one solution you think will work, 2 or 3 if you have them. And I would go that way first. But then it got to the point that I just said, so how would you handle this with pride? How would you handle this with pride? We never faced one situation, whether it was with a supplier, whether it was with a customer, whether it was with a team member, whether it was with operations, no matter what it was, we never faced one situation that did not fall under one of those categories: professionalism, respect, integrity, dependability, or excellence. And we use that as the North Star. So when they would come to me with a problem, I'd say, how would we solve this with pride? And then, well, that's a professional issue. We would do this. Or that's a respect issue. We would do that. Oh, that's about integrity. That's about dependability. That's about excellence. It got to where that when they would send me emails and tell me a problem and tell me their solution, several of my team members would sign the end of their email, serving with pride, boss, serving with pride. And so, yes, our team members knew it. We had it posted. I know a lot of people post their values on their walls. I know that's kind of common that you see that, but a lot of people post it on their walls, but they never, ever go back to it. They never refer to it. We used it. We had pride stories. So every week I had my supervisors submit a pride story. Somebody they caught living the values. Somebody they caught doing professionalism, respect, integrity, dependability, and excellence. Every week I was getting stories. So what happens is if your team starts looking for it, they start seeing it. When they start seeing it, they start acknowledging it, and they start recognizing it. When you start acknowledging and start recognizing it, more people start doing it. And all of a sudden that becomes your culture. So yes, that's a great question. I hope I give you a long answer to that, but that was a great question. So all right, looks like we're right up at our time, Gabe. Once again, hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope that you found this to be a valuable use of your time this evening and got some good information. Once again, I encourage you to scan that QR code. Be sure to follow me on social media. It gives you my links. When you do that, you can follow me on that to keep up to date when I do more content, more webinars, and I post stuff on my media channels there that might be beneficial to you. And if I could ever be of assistance to you and your company, your business, if you're looking for a speaker, trainer, coach, or something, be sure to reach out to me and let me know how I can help serve you. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you, Kevin. Another great webinar here, filled with just such great insights from somebody who's done it. So I really appreciate this. A reminder to everyone, we will be sending a follow-up email as well with the recording from this. And we'll try to also put a link. Kevin mentioned in his presentation, we did do a webinar probably 3 months back that was all on culture. And so we'll in a follow-up email, we'll try to put a link to that. That's on YouTube. So we'll be sharing that with you as well. Thank you all again. And just as a reminder as well, we're here to help. And anyone that's a friend of Kevin's is a friend of ours. And if you've got a multi-location business in any industry and you're looking for a smart way to communicate with those folks for reminders, for upsells, cross-sells, whatever it may be, we want to help. So thank you all for coming, and look for the invite for our next event with Kevin, which should be next quarter sometime. So thank you all, and thanks again, Kevin.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
Mm-hmm.